Well, Jim, it's that sad time of the show now we must go to. This past Monday, another WWE Raw, a 2-hour edition, something to be happy about, but maybe because it was Thanksgiving week, maybe because there really wasn't anything pulling me to the show. I had it on in the background, and I don't even remember how much of it I saw, but... Well, what did you watch?
That right there is what... No, the Raw...
You see, that's the problem. That has sounded better in the past.
The Raw this past Monday, I think, is part of a bigger strategy, Brian. This is what I was going to ask you about. Are they not tanking the show, but are they cooling the show off because in a little over a month, we're going to debut on Netflix with John Cena's retirement tour, and The Rock is lurking in a piss bottle somewhere, and
on a farm.
The move to Netflix, and they're going to bring some more. Punk is back. Drew McIntyre is going to come back. We got more stars that are going to be coming back.
Pissberry Farms. That could be The Rock's farm.
Pissberry Farm remembers. So the question is, are they just cooling this thing off? They were in Glendale, Arizona.
And I remember that great song, Somebody Robbed the Glendale Train by the New Riders.
What?
This morning, 9:30.
Is that a real song?
That's a real song. Somebody robbed the Glendale train. I swear, I'm not lying.
Well, you ought to record it and put it out there, and then somebody would have heard of it.
Oh.
But they were in Glendale, Arizona, which I believe is near Phoenix, is it not?
It was a minor hit in like 74.
That's not the question that I posed to you.
I don't know my Arizona.
It's got to be near Phoenix. What else would it be where they had 13,216 people? Where else besides around Phoenix and Arizona would they be doing that? How's the business in Tucson?
I don't know.
Is Rod Fenton still the local promoter down there?
How is the business in Tucson when you've gone there with WWE? I don't know.
I don't remember the last time I was in Tucson. If I was in Tucson, I can't. So I've driven through Tucson. I had to work Tucson once. Well, maybe I was Tucson to remember. Anyway, they had 13,000 people, but it's just, there's nothing offensive. There's nothing amateurish or, lackadaisical or whatever. It's just, there's not nothing happening. Not much. They give you enough. You remember the main points. And that's what we're going to talk about is the main points. Damian Priest and Gunther are coming up next now because they did a big, long promo where Priest just had all the opportunity in the world to tell Gunther what was wrong with him and say he lost his confidence, he's lost his edge. And then when Gunther responded by whacking Priest over the head with the microphone and clearing the desk off, Priest bowed back up and razor's edged Gunther through the desk. So they're trying to use Gunther to, again, elevate Damian Priest. We love Gunther, and we thought that Priest had all the potential in the world, all the tools, all the things, but the stars have not aligned. Is it like Jerry Briscoe or some of the old timers used to say, he can't kick it into high gear or third gear or whatever? I drive an automatic, but whatever gear is the big one, he doesn't have that yet, does he?
I mean, that's the thing that he's really been missing the entire time. He's got the size. He's got the voice. He could do the right things in the ring, especially with the right guy. But there's a certain fire that leads to a fan connection also that hasn't been there.
Fire! Kisses like fire. Burn me up with fire. I like what you're doing now. Fire. I don't like that. So, and I will say that Jackie Redmond.
That's not nice.
She's the best female announcer in the business. She's the only one that doesn't sound like that she's just doing a scripted question, but instead sounds like she'd be on the sidelines for CBS or somebody.
I think she really is. I could be wrong. Maybe it's not hockey, but there's
You
something.
mean I didn't know they allowed their employees to do unsavory things like being over on the sidelines for CBS.
I don't know what the heck you're talking about, but listen, I mean, I think she's a real, genuine reporter. Like, there are there are a few women that WWE's hired over the last 10 years that like came from ESPN or some sort of sports network where they really do it. And certain people just have it. She is very good at it. I always get a kick out of the fact
like the women that really do it.
she calls Michael Cole Cole.
Yeah.
Not Michael or, Mr. Cole. Not that that would be appropriate, but Cole. That's right, Cole.
He deserves no respect. So, no, he's a fine fellow, except for his choice of hairstyles. He's always got something shaved or something going on around the edges. But anyway, and then now Jade Cargill is apparently really injured. You told me this last week, but when they saw her laying all splayed out on that car hood, it was a cover apparently for a very serious injury. According to Bianca, I wrote this down. It's a quote. She banged up. She's not going to be back here for a minute. So that sounds serious. That sounds like when they asked the cop in Night of the Living Dead, he said, "Oh yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up."
No, but apparently she is. Apparently, who knows what? Oh, what is that? Sounds like a bomb's being dropped on me.
Well, they finally figured out where you live.
I haven't heard it hit anything. It's still dropping. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if you could even hear that, but... All right, it's gone away. It must have been just a plane. Who knew?
Watch out for the fallout.
Jade, it's interesting that she's so banged up. It's not... it's not like she's working long physical matches. She has a very limited way that she's being used, which is the smart way to use her. It's a shame that she's banged up this early on.
Well, but it can happen in the twinkling of an eye. Just plant your foot wrong and pop goes the fucking ankle. You never know, whatever it is.
And we'll see what this means for the whole Bianca Jade thing, because everything was kind of, they weren't rushing that at all, and it was working.
Well, Bianca got snotty with Rhea Ripley, which you better not do if you expect to stay a babyface, because people will turn on you for not hailing the queen.
Hey, give me that match, honestly. Best women's match you could have in wrestling. I was saying it when they were wrestling each other in NXT. Bianca and Rhea. That's the match I'll always stop and watch.
Well, maybe we're going there, because that's what... And the other girls were trying to figure out who their fifth girl is, and then Rhea came in and got a big pop being on the screen. And so, as I said, she and Bianca exchanged some snotty business. And they're still trying to get the creeds over. The less said about that, the better. Braun Breaker versus Ludwig Kaiser. And I'm not going to blow by blow this match, but Braun Breaker, I just like watching him. He's so far ahead of anybody else in the business at this stage of his career, his experience level, is all the tools. Plus, he's got a goddamn high gear, whatever gear that is, maybe 6th or 7th. He's just amazing. If you wanted to create a goddamn WWE champion in a fucking laboratory, I know that's other people's material, but and already now he's done nothing to turn babyface. But the people are liking him. He's going to be one of those. And they put him in with Kaiser because they're doing a 3-way thing with Sheamus. But the people were instantly on his, and he can sell for a guy that size and that impressive. And so the people are barking for him. They're going to like him when he finally does become a babyface, but we're not hurrying anything because that's a long time away. And they did a DQ, so they didn't beat either guy. Sheamus ran in, and Pierce ran out and made a triple threat, which I'm not looking forward to because it's a goddamn triple threat. But they had a hell of a pull apart, a big fight all over the stage and everything. And I remember it because that's the only one they had in this show. So again, they're doing the best stuff with Braun Breaker, and he's getting quicker. It almost looks like a visual effect when he's hitting the fucking ropes. But that was the first hour. Brian, your thoughts?
That was the first hour, and those were my thoughts.
Well, there you go. And then we finally got, I don't think it's a breakup, either, but it's stern words between the New Day. Normally, I wouldn't even have bothered to watch, but I had to see they got beat in like 30 seconds by Otis and Tozawa. And then
This is the 10th anniversary, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, no, it's about to be. They've announced it. So, because that was what they mentioned at the close of this, but they walk back arguing with each other, and they spend some time telling each other off big time, and it sounded like both of them had a point. And the crowd didn't particularly give a shit about the match. They were excited it was over that quickly, but they were into the argument. And Kofi told Woods that he's never been champion because he isn't good enough. And Woods said he was good enough to help make Kofi champion. And then he lost to Brock in 6 seconds. And the crowd started, and they're in the back with the camera shooting them. They're showing it to the crowd on the screen. And the crowd is chanting, "Fight, fight, fight." So they've been getting this shit over. And then they told each other that they would see each other at their anniversary. So I'm sure that's going to be a big wing-ding with the ring dressed with some type of anniversary apparatus. But even the middle card guys now and stuff on the screen, the fans are reacting to it because they're following it. Because if you're predisposed to watch this program, when it's over with, you remember what you're supposed to remember. You can keep track of shit. It follows. If you really want to watch all of it, unlike us, you understand what's going on, right?
Right.
And then on the other side of it, he's like, what the fuck? With a goddamn notepad, with one of those court stenographer things where you sit there and type it. You can't keep track of it. It doesn't add up. And then finally, the main event was Bianca against the refrigerator because they had Bianca beat the fridge, so the baby faces will have advantage in the women's war games. But they've only got 4 people anyway, so maybe that will figure in. And they have announced they're going to have a women's Intercontinental Champion too. I can't wait to see that. What's your thoughts on that, Brian?
On them adding another belt right after they announced that they were going to add the U.S. Women's Championship on the other show? I think
exactly.
I think they're starting to get a little bit of the AEW problem where they're too belt happy over there, and there's too many belts. The Rock also has his bullshit belt. But I'm saying is part of gimmick. It's his.
Yes.
He'll be out there with that. It's like his FTW belt. And now you're going to have all these belts.
Well, the thing is, even if you want to get a belt over another belt for the women on both programs, doing it at the same time, doesn't that create some confusion in the marketplace?
Yeah, I don't,
do it 6 months apart.
I also don't see the demand. I mean, that's the other thing. I think when it comes to women's wrestling, WWE.
You haven't seen the line of women's wrestlers hanging outside of the fucking Triple H's office if you want to see demand for another women's belt.
No, but I just mean in terms of fan demand, in terms of whatever I say about the women's wrestling scene, the caveat is always that WWE's top flight women are the very best, and they belong. And everyone chasing the world champion is one thing. When all of a sudden you have a secondary belt, I don't think it shouldn't just be the men have all these belts so the women need them too. And sometimes it feels like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels like it's for PR purposes as much as any other good reason.
Well, and they call it the workhorse title also, the Intercontinental. So I think he made some allusion to that when the announcement, whether the working person's Tyler, how nonsensical is that? Because when the generation that were fans of the 80s and 90s actually got involved in the goddamn office in the 2000 and whatevers, and they realized that a lot of times the Intercontinental Champion was a better worker than the WWE champion, especially in the 80s, they started calling it the workhorse title. Doesn't that tell people that your world champion is in some way a fucking lazy fuck or not as good as the secondary champion? I don't, just to appeal to fans who know the smart terminology. What?
See, that's a new added benefit of being the world champion. It was always, if you're the champion, you get the biggest purse. If you're the champion, you can maybe get a piece of the house. Certainly get a piece of ass. You're the champion. You can do whatever you want. Now, you don't even have to come to work. All right, they're the workhorse. I'll be the sleeping late champion. I'll be the nap time champion for a few weeks. And then I'll go do a promo and I'll take another few weeks off.
I don't know. The Intercontinental Champion or the North American Champion or the United States Champion, they've got all of them now. But theoretically, that was the person who was next in line, was pretty much the most important single wrestler in the industry, except for the world champion himself. And, that was prestige enough. They didn't have to compliment you for how many times you showed up to wrestle. But I digress, Brian. It's your program.
Oh, and that was Raw.
Yes, it was.
And that was Raw.
We didn't spend a second cooking it.